It's time for Inside Seminole-Basketball with Leonard Hamilton, breaking down game-changing plays, momentum-shifting moves, can't-miss matchups, the inside scoop on the team and what's next for the Noles as they look to make another tournament run. ABC 27 presents Inside Seminole-Basketball with Leonard Hamilton, live from Glory Days Grill in Tallahassee. Sponsored by these businesses. Now
Welcome to Inside Seminole-Basketball with head coach Leonard Hamilton. For those of you watching ABC 27, come on aboard. We got some highlights to show. We got a lot of wins to talk about as Florida State extends the longest current win streak in the Atlantic Coast Conference to 6 in a row, including 5 in a row over ACC opponents. How about that? Say hello to our studio audience here at Glory Days. We're here on Monday nights, and the food is really good, right? Let me hear you. Yeah, there you go. We knew that. I've got my order in. I can't wait, but I got to wait for an hour, okay? We're talking Florida State basketball. Head coach Leonard Hamilton will be here momentarily. But during the week, since the last time we visited here at Glory Days, FSU has knocked off Duke in overtime, beaten North Florida by 13 at home, a 12 noon game, and thank you fans for coming out to the arena, the Donald L. Tucker Civic Center. 2,088 the official attendance announced, and I think it was more than that, but they made a lot of noise, and Florida State beat UNF from Jacksonville. That's the 7th time we beat them, and that was expected, but thanks to the fans that came out. And then on Saturday, we go down to Coral Gables, Florida. We had beaten Miami 11 days before by 1 point on our home court, and you know they wanted a little revenge. You bet they did. It's a great rivalry. Dates back to 1950, and Florida State had a phenomenal first half. We'll talk to Coach about that first half because we shot the lights out, 60% shooting from the floor, and built a huge 24-point lead. But it was sort of like a Charles Dickens novel called A Tale of Two Cities. It was a tale of two halves. And Florida State shot well in the first half. Miami shot better in the second half, and we win by 61-60 in Coral Gables. And that is our 9th win in a row over the Miami Hurricanes. How about that? Shout it out, Seminoles. 9 in a row over the Miami Hurricanes. Looking ahead, Florida State plays Wednesday at Georgia Tech. That's a 9 o'clock game on the ACC network. And then on Saturday afternoon at 3 o'clock, Florida State hosts Virginia Tech. I guess you could say it's a battle of the Techs this week. Georgia Tech Wednesday, Virginia Tech on Saturday at 3 o'clock at the Donald L. Tucker Center. Our fans have been great, particularly for Saturday games. We have sold out the arena. It's not a sellout yet. There are still tickets. But I'll promise you this, the students are going to gobble up every single student ticket. We'll be in that end zone to our left, and they'll be making noise when the Techsters walk into that court on Saturday afternoon. A couple of other things. Florida State now has won 3 one-point ball games. 3 one-point ball games. We are told by the Atlantic Coast Conference office today that is the most one-point wins in the nation by a college basketball team, any division. 1-point wins, 3 of them, 2 over Miami, 1 over Duke in overtime, and it just doesn't get a whole lot better. And by the way, that overtime win against Duke was our 13th consecutive overtime victory, extending Florida State's national record of most consecutive wins in overtime. It's just incredible. I thought it was big. We got 11, then we got 12, and along comes Duke, and we took them out to the old ACC woodshed, beat them by 1. And oh, by the way, we have to play Duke in mid-February up at Cameron Indoor Stadium. You think the Cameron Crazies are going to go crazy in that ball game? Let's see if we can sweep the Duke Blue Devils like we just swept the Miami Hurricanes. Coaches versus Cancer is this week, and if you're watching on television all week long, the primetime games, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock in the evening, and the matinees on Saturday, the coaches will be wearing sneakers proudly and raising awareness to the Coaches versus Cancer campaign. And Coach will talk about his family. His family's been affected severely by cancer, and I think my family has been too, and probably your family has. But Coaches versus Cancer is a huge week to raise awareness and raise money to fight cancer. And speaking of fighting cancer, probably the biggest name in college basketball, Dick Vitale, is struggling and taking therapy and hoping to get well. He is not doing live broadcast, at least for the time being. He hopes to be back in February, or at least ready for March Madness. Dick, get well. We love you. We appreciate you. And if you're watching on ABC 27 or listening on the Seminole Radio Network presented by Learfield, Dick Vitale, get well. You're a great, great spokesman for the game of basketball. Our special guest tonight will be Mike Bradley. Mike Bradley has been with Leonard Hamilton since Leonard got here in 2002-03 season. Mike is the strength and conditioning coach. He may spend more time with the basketball athletes than anybody else, and I'm including coaches, because every day they're working out, they're getting stronger, they're conditioning, and then during the off season when the coaches can't be with the player, it's always Mike Bradley's job to see to it that they're out there conditioning, lifting weights, and getting ready for the next basketball season. It's an interesting interview too. I can't wait till Mike Bradley tells you how he has a bachelor's in chemistry and a master's in chemistry, and I don't even know what the periodic table is, but he can tell us what it is, okay? That's our special guest this evening. Coach Leonard Hamilton will be here momentarily. They just finished practice. He's on his way to Glory Days here on Capitol Circle near Centerville Road. Florida State Athletics would like to thank Glory Days Grill in Tallahassee for their support of Seminole Athletics. That's why we're here. Glory Days Tallahassee, the home of Inside Seminole Basketball. Keep it right here. Keep it here on the Seminole Sports Network from Learfield. The Noles were in first place in the ACC with that win over the Miami Hurricanes on Saturday afternoon down in Coral Gables. And, Coach, congratulations. A huge win. And we got a streak going. Got 6 in a row, the longest current streak of the ACC. And we're winning games by huge margins. I mean, 1 point, 1 point, 1 point. My goodness.
Well, you know, I always tease you about ACC blowouts, but there's no doubt that this league is getting closer in proximity to each other. A lot of parity in our league. Some people are misjudging, saying that because the perennial powers are not dominating like they used to be and other people are in those positions, that something's wrong with the league and it's down, that this is the new ACC. You're going to find that as we move through the remainder of the season and in the years to come, you're going to have different teams rotating in and out of the number 1, 2, and 3 spot. You're going to have different teams being dominant in the ACC, just like it is other conferences. So this is a new day in the ACC. The new bloods are in first place.
the new bloods, Florida State, Miami, in first place. And Coach, you talk about the ACC as a whole. Is it down? Is it up? You take those 3 guards of Miami, I wouldn't trade them for any 3 guards in the country. They're as good as I've seen all season long. You take the 5 starters for Duke. There's not a better team on the court than the Duke Blue Devils, except maybe the Florida State Seminoles. We sort of proved that. But is it sort of a little, I don't know if irony is the word, but last week, Florida State beat Duke, and Miami beat North Carolina. Tobacco Road got turned flip-flop over. And I don't know if that's happened before, where the state of Florida has knocked off Tobacco Road in 1 week.
Well, I was on a press conference earlier today, and we were talking about whether ACC ranks, and my comment was that whoever plays Wake Forest, North Carolina State, Notre Dame in the NCAA tournament, we'll find out how good the ACC is. Those are outstanding teams, and I guarantee you at the end of the year, the ACC is always standing in its rightful place somewhere close to the top.
Yeah, and Coach, you make a good point, because early season losses, Notre Dame, they stubbed their toe early. A couple of losses, they fall below 500. All of a sudden, they're one of the hottest teams in the Atlantic Coast Conference right now. Like you say, nobody wants to play Notre Dame. We struggle and get beat soundly by Purdue, a very good Purdue team, but then we come back and we're playing much better than we did in the month of November, December, and I think Florida State's going to be a very tough out come tournament time.
Well, analytics has taken over. The statistical analytical evaluations have taken over how you perceive teams in the 2022. Now, you got to take under consideration, for instance, as it relates to Florida State, we're basically a new team. We've had some injuries to some of our veterans. We have 7 newcomers in our program. They're adjusting, trying to learn our system offensively and defensively, trying to learn how to utilize their skills and talents with their new teammates. And so we're in a transition period. We're growing and developing. And it's very challenging for youngsters to get in sync this early in the season. But you're going to see a lot of teams start progressing as their players become more familiar. And we are one of those teams that hopefully will continue to keep getting better and better.
Leonard, speaking of new players, and let's talk about the Duke victory came last Tuesday night here at the Donald L. Tucker Center. Speaking of new bloods and new players on this basketball team, Leonard, Naheem McLeod has a career high 9 points, and he's the Ty's the tallest player in the history of Florida State basketball, but he seems to come getting better and better. All the bigs seem to be really developing into really good basketball players in the paint.
Well, in the past, we've always had veterans leading the way, and we've had our newcomers were kind of mingling in, and we were rotating those guys in as the season progressed. Now we look out on the court, and we playing against Duke, and I got 5 first-year players out on the court. And that's a big adjustment, but that's who we are. We still a team that's growing and developing. By no means have we reached our potential, and I guess that's a positive thing about our team. We still got a lot of room for growth.
Yeah, Naheem McLeod got the start against Duke. In fact, he started the last 3 ball games along with, now he's not a freshman. He's, I believe his eligibility is a junior, redshirt sophomore.
Not really.
Not really,
because he's only played 1 year in college, and that was a COVID year.
Yeah, the COVID year.
So he really could be a freshman.
So technically, I'm going to change my scoring card then. I'm going to make him a redshirt super freshman, but he started along with John Butler, who was a true freshman, against Duke. Now, you started 2 true freshmen against arguably the best team to that point in the conference.
Well, that's who we are, and we're going to have some growing pains. We're going to have some hiccups along the way, and I wish we could get out of that mode of what they call the ACC blowout teams, 1 and 2 and 3 point victories, but they're victories, and we'll take those any way we can get them.
Yeah, wins are wins. Our fans watching on ABC 27 seeing Florida State playing the Duke Blue Devils. Big Naheem McLeod right there, number 2. He's a big, tall guy. John Butler's 7 foot tall. He looks short next to him. And Coach, in that ball game, Caleb Mills sort of took charge. And Raekwon Evans played an outstanding game distributing and finding a little alley-oop dunk right there before we came back to you on set.
Well, there's no doubt that we have different guys stepping up and taking their rightful place. I mean, we win games by committee, and I've said that all along, but there's no other season more evident than what we're doing now. Each game, someone else steps up and gives us a big lift.
In that ball game, Caleb Mills led us in scoring, and Coach, it just seems like to this point in the season, when we need a basket in the worst way, somehow, some way, Caleb Mills has something to do with us getting a basket.
Well, there's no doubt that he's probably a little farther along than some of our newcomers, but we need more guys stepping in and being the go-to guy. We need more guys taking over those roles, so we'll get back and really truly win games by committee. It's very difficult for one guy to lead you all the time. We're hopeful that as we go through the remainder of the season, you're going to see other guys have more confidence in their roles on our team and be as productive as Caleb has been.
Another player in that Duke game, and he shows his experience. He's one of the most experienced Seminoles, and that's Anthony Polite. He's a leader on this team, and he plays almost every position you want him to play, Coach. He has 9 points. Every game you look at the stats, the box score, he's got 9 points, 7 rebounds, 8 points, 9 rebounds, a couple of steals thrown in there. In fact, he may be our team leader in steals, but Anthony Polite is one of the older guys that you rely on to get those young guys cohesiveness, and if that's the word, I don't know, but get them playing together as a team.
No, I make up words all the time.
Well, cohesiveness, that's just on top of my mind. But you count on Anthony Polite.
But
and Raekwon Evans.
Anthony is an outstanding shooter along with Wyatt Wilkes. But you notice they have not been getting as many good looks. That's because now their roles have changed and people are giving them a lot of attention out of respect for the shooting ability that they've shown that they're capable of consistently shooting the ball well in the past. So now they're not getting as many good looks, but now as the team starts gelling and we start showing that we have more guys that are capable of contributing, you're going to see those guys getting more good open looks, and they'll knock those shots down.
Anthony Polite plays the 1, the 2, the 3, probably the 4, and could play the 5, and he is having tremendous success, and this is his final year with the Florida State Seminoles. Planet Fitness is a proud partner of the Florida State Seminoles. At Planet Fitness, gain access to a clean and spacious club with tons of equipment in the one and only judgment-free zone. And all for just $10 a month. Go Noles. That's Planet Fitness as we enjoy highlights on ABC 27, FSU beating Duke by 1 in overtime. Keep it right here on the Seminole Sports Network from Learfield. Days, and we're talking Florida State basketball with head coach Leonard Hamilton. Earlier in the program, I mentioned that FSU had won its 13th consecutive overtime game, which is an NCAA record. And now, Coach, I'm going to throw another NCAA record out at you, and it involves you. Are you ready for this?
I'm ready.
All right, with the win over Miami, or the win over Duke this past Tuesday night, Leonard Hamilton won his 55th game against a ranked team when his team was not ranked. No other coach in college basketball has done that. How about a round of applause for head coach Leonard Hamilton, winningest coach in the history of Florida State basketball, and another accolade from the NCAA. 55 wins over ranked teams. When our team isn't ranked, you sort of sneak up on them. Sneak up on them.
Well, I've been coaching a long time, so I think that has a little something to do with it. I'm not real sure. I didn't even know anything about that. Thanks for the info.
Well, I just throw that stuff out. You know, we've got a great TV audience, a great radio audience on the Learfield IMG Seminole Radio Network, and I'm going to throw it out. 55 wins over ranked teams. When your team has – now, you add the teams that we have beaten that have been ranked. When your teams are ranked, I'll get that figure for the next show. What do you think? We'll go deeper into the books.
Well, let's just worry about the next game.
No, that's true. That's Georgia Tech on Wednesday, a 9:00 game on Wednesday. Coach, we have a great audience here. Some folks are here just to eat great food at Glory Days, and a lot of folks are here to hear what you have to say about your basketball team. And we have a member of the audience that has a question for you. Go ahead. Is our audience ready? Are you ready for a question?
He's ready.
All right.
I got my main man Clark here.
Fire away, Clark.
What you got, Clark?
Yeah, hey, Coach, I have to tell you, thanks so much. I'm from Miami, so beating the Hurricanes twice in a short period of time, I'm loving it. I make sure that they know down there in Miami who won. My question is I know we were real strong at home when we play at the Tuck, and it's a different kind of preparation that you have to do when you play on the road. So I was just wondering, what kind of different coaching methods do you use when you play on the road as opposed at home?
Well, you would like to think that you can maintain that same level of focus and get the energy from the crowd like you do when you're at home, but it's just not possible. But we don't make very many adjustments, to be honest with you. We just try to really try to be who we are a little better than who we normally are, if that makes any sense to you. You know, we have a defensive system that we very seldom vary from. We're tweaking in relation to the defensive schemes that our opponents have. But offensively, we're who we are. We try to be consistent with how we address and how we develop our team and how we play to the strengths of our team and try to stay away from our weaknesses. Mentally, we just try to be as focused as possible because we realize it's challenging, especially for new players going on the road and being in those environments. We spend more time coaching their minds and their spirits than we do their bodies in those type of situations because a lot of it's growing. And when you have as many new players as we have, it's a little challenging for them, you know, to tune out all the distractions that being on the road will do for you. So to answer your questions, what we try to do is be consistent with our approach, regardless of whether we're at home or on the road.
Well, it's working. It's definitely working.
All right, go Noles. Carl, thank you very much for the question. That's our fan question of the week here at Glory Days. Folks enjoying good. Boy, I smell the food. I got my order in. I can't wait. Coach, I got to wait. Oh, my, another 35 minutes before I grab some of that Glory Days. Coach, we beat Duke by 1 and then in overtime, and then we have to come back and play a midweek game, a very unusual game. We tip off at 12 noon at the Tucker Center on a Thursday, and it's not the holidays. And I tipped my head a little earlier about the fan. We had over 2,000 fans attend that ball game and cheer us to victory over the University of North Florida.
Well, that was a very challenging experience for us this whole week, playing 4 games in 8 days. And at halftime of the Miami game, we saw kind of a glazed look over our guys' eyes. They had given a tremendous effort in the first half. I hope that we don't ever have to put ourselves in that position again where we're playing 4 games in 8 days. It taxes our body. We basically kind of walked through some of our preparations. We tried not to tax their bodies that much during that period. It was extremely challenging to get through that week with 4 victories. It was a tremendous challenge for our players. The day's practice, it was a little long, but it was not very physical, demanding on them. We walked through a lot of stuff. We had a long film session trying to debrief from the Miami game and prepare for the Georgia Tech game. Our guys seem to be real focused. We're in a very vulnerable period right now as we grow through being ranked number 1 in the league because now you get that bullseye on your shirt. And everybody feels like they can pad their resume while playing against the number 1 team in the league. We got to be stronger and more focused as we move forward.
Yeah, what you're saying, Coach, is Florida State now is getting the Duke treatment by opposing teams in the Atlantic Coast Conference. We're getting the best shot. And, Miami gave us their best shot twice, and we still beat them by, 2 points combined. You mentioned the conditioning. That was 4 games in 8 days, but that was our 3rd game in 5 days, Coach. 3rd game in 5, and it did look like we lost a little energy there in the second half.
There's no doubt that we were physically exhausted for the most part going into the second half, and I thought mentally it was more than anything else, and I thought we made some fatigue decisions, and we didn't quite have our legs, but we were able to get away with a victory, and that's all that counts now.
Leonard, it's tough to not talk about wins over Duke and wins over Miami, an arch rival. We've been playing Miami since 1950, but that game in between, the North Florida victory, a young man, a true freshman, had a career high in that ballgame. Matthew Cleveland, 21 points, 10 rebounds. It was his first 2010 game in his young career, and he became the first Seminole, first freshman since Chris Singleton, way back, to have a 2010 double-double as a freshman for Florida State. A tremendous performance by that young man.
Well, there's no doubt that he's growing and improving with each game. He has extremely high basketball IQ. He has a high motor. He plays extremely hard. He's one of our better defenders, and he's really, really always ready for the moment. He's a winner in every sense of the word. He's a guy who I think is going to get better and better. We're going home to his hometown to play against Georgia Tech, and we need to try to make sure we get a victory just for him.
Yeah, and I have a feeling we'll get a little bit of zone defense from the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets. I think that's Coach Pastner's patented. I mean, he's like Syracuse. That zone that he runs is tough to run an offense against. But when Matthew Cleveland has a double-double, then Caleb Mills has 21 points, and they add up for 42 in the ballgame. You tend to overlook some other things. But Tenor Ngome has been injured more than he's been healthy. He's our big 7-foot kid, and he got his first extended playing time, and he delivered with 13 big points against North Florida.
Well, we're having some issues in the injury department. There's no doubt about that. Malik has an ankle issue, and Tenor has had his ankle issue. So we just a team that's just trying to find ways to win in spite of the injuries that we're having. But most teams are having those issues at this time of year, and you just got to find a way to play yourself through them.
That was Tenor's first game since the injury. He had missed 11 games too early, played a couple, then injured again. And good to see that big fella out on the court. And you sort of rotate those big guys in there with McLeod and Gome and Ballard, all 7 foot tall or even taller. And Florida State in that ballgame, Coach, with our height, we dominated the glass. We forced a lot of turnovers, and you had a chance to play an awful lot of players. I think all but one player scored in that ballgame.
Well, it was a rescheduled game, and it came at a bad time. We also rescheduled the Boston College game, and that puts us in a little bit of a one-day turnaround situation as we play against them. I think we play Duke, and then we leave the next day and go to Boston and play that game on the road. So that's what the pandemic has brought to us, and those are situations we just have to try to work our way through.
That's something you try to avoid is back-to-back road games, particularly in a short window, and a Saturday game at Duke and a Monday game at Boston College. Oh, those are 2 tough venues to go in and get wins. Well, we're ready for it, right, Coach? We're ready.
Let's just worry about Georgia Tech.
Georgia Tech is Georgia Tech is Wednesday at 9 o'clock. We're talking Florida State basketball with head coach Leonard Hamilton. You know that. That's how you found us on ABC 27. You found us on your radio on the Seminole Learfield IMG Seminole Radio Network, and we're glad you joined us for this Monday evening. We're here every Monday night talking with the head coach, and we invite you to come out to Glory Days and spend some time with some fellow Seminoles and rub some shoulders and talk some Seminole hoops on Monday nights, particularly in this cool time of the year in January. Simply IOA is giving you the chance to win Seminoles courtside seats. Prizes include courtside seats for you and 3 friends to an FSU home basketball game versus an ACC opponent in February, and that's not far away. Enter now at Simply IOA. That's one word, simplyioa.com. Keep it right here on the Seminole Sports Network from Learfield. Days talking Florida State basketball with head coach Leonard Hamilton. Every week we have a special guest, and tonight no different on this Monday night at Glory Days. For those of you watching on ABC 27, listening on the Learfield IMG Seminole Radio Network, Let me introduce to you Mr. Michael Bradley, who is our strength and conditioning coach at Florida State University basketball. Big round of applause. He's got his hands full. I mean, conditioning all year round. And I made a comment in the opening of the show, Mike, that you probably spend more time with the basketball players than the coaches do.
It's year round, and the way we train, we try to get as much supervision on our players as I can. So most of it's one-on-one, and so you get to know people pretty well over the course of a career.
You've been doing this for 30 years, and a lot of that time has been spent with Leonard Hamilton. Leonard's been the head coach at Florida State for 20 years, and you've been right alongside with Leonard. You joined his staff when he came to Tallahassee, Florida.
Correct, and then I also was with him for 4 years, I believe, in Miami.
In Miami also. Now, I got a question, and we've known each other for a long time. And the question I have is, are you not a West Coast kid? You went to school, got a master's and a BA from California school, San Diego State in Santa Barbara, I guess. But how did you end up on the East Coast in Tallahassee or in Miami, for that matter?
It was probably a typical pathway for a lot of people pursuing coaching. You go where the opportunities are. And then when Coach Hamilton presented me with the opportunity to go down to Miami, it fit at the right time, and then we got here, and we love North Florida. My wife and son are here. We love this community. We live in Wakulla County. We love the people down there, the culture and everything about it. So
I had a chance to meet your family, and one of the most unusual places. One of my favorite places on the planet is Wakulla Springs. And Ann and I were down there. We ran into you and your son and your wife, and your wife's name is Tara. Your son is Guard. Okay. And you told me a story that he loves jumping off that dive board at the Wakulla Springs. To me, that water is ice cold, but the kids seem to like it, and you spend a lot of time down at the Springs.
It's ice cold, and to me, that is a very high jump. I'm not good with heights, and he forced me to confront something in myself I didn't want to confront. So now I do it.
You did jump.
But did not want to initially.
I stay away from that diving board. That's for the kids. Now, let me talk to you about strength and conditioning. It's two different things, I would think, but they intertwine with what you do with student athletes. Is what comes first, strength or conditioning?
They intertwine in the sense that the strength is a general phenomenon, but because of the way that we strength train, there is a conditioning component to it. We go through at a rapid pace, and we believe that conditioning component that we get out of the strength program has a bleed-over effect to the court. Then the court has a specific conditioning component. It's not a general phenomenon like strength. It's a specific phenomenon, and that has to come mostly through skill work, working with their position coach, working with Coach Hamilton, playing at game speed. So that's what transfers. The strength is more of a general phenomenon. Conditioning is more of a specific phenomenon.
It's an amazing thing in the year 2022. Strength and conditioning is very important in the game of basketball, and that's been true for about the last 30, 40 years. When I played junior college basketball, you wanted to stay away from the weight room. The theory was you got too stiff if you lifted weights. Nobody wanted to lift weights back in the day, not even the great players. But nowadays, if you don't lift weights, you can't compete at the level we compete at.
Well, and I think one person who kind of broke the mold on that was Dave Cowens. If you listen to him talk about what he did as a player, he was one of the first and kind of one of the proponents of it, and kind of opened people's eyes up to it. Yeah.
And Dave played 1969 through 1971 for the so that's going back in the day. So Dave sort of broke the mold. And by the way, Dave Cowens, if you're a Florida State basketball fan, you know Dave Cowens. Dave Cowens, draft pick by the Boston Celtics out of Florida State University. He was the Rookie of the Year and most valuable player in his first year in the NBA. How good was he? And another Dave Cowens story, Mike, I won't take up your time, but I had the chance to interview Dave at a Boston College football game. He has a home up in Boston, one down in Florida. And I said, how did you, he averaged like 19 rebounds a game, almost 20 rebounds a game for a career. That's unheard of. And I said, how did you get so many rebounds? He said, it's always good to play on a team that can't shoot real well. And so that's why that's his story, and I'm sticking with it. Now, as far as conditioning, off-season conditioning, how many days a year do student athletes try to stay in good condition?
We go nearly year-round. There are natural breaks that happen with the semester system during the summer. Our players stay here during the summer. They train year-round during the summer, and the way that the summer sessions and the break between the spring and the fall semesters, those allow us to have a built-in time off as we need it. So other than that, when we're in school, we're training.
Now, when a student athlete, now we got so many freshmen, it's hard to keep track of. Leonard keeps on all the new guys on this team. He looks on the court. There's 3-4 freshmen on the court. But when they enroll, when they come to school, do you sit down with them and here's the program that we're going to work on your strength? We want you to be this weight. We want you to add some weight. We want you to lose some weight. Do you sit down with each and every freshman and have a program that they will live with for the rest of their career?
Yeah. So every person that comes in here goes through the exact same teaching process. We have a way of strength training is like basketball or any other sport. It has to be coached. It has to be supervised. It has to be coached meticulously with specific instruction. And so when our players come here, they first learn how to do one repetition properly. We don't do anything until we know how to do that. We learn how to train at what we think is the appropriate effort level, which is very, very high. We don't do anything else until we learn how to do that. And then from there, we build on that. We learn new exercises, new concepts. But everything for us is a fundamental thing. We're always going back to fundamentals. It's always about how we perform exercise and the effort level that we train at. And all of our players do the same thing in that end.
Mike Bradley is our strength and conditioning coach for Florida State basketball. He operates out of that basketball facility right adjacent to the Donald L. Tucker Civic Center. He works with our athletes daily, gets them ready and gets them in shape. And let me ask you one more question before I let you go. Chris Culp over here said it's time to go to break. It's time to go to break. But one more question for Mike Bradley is, who is the first guy that wants to get into the weight room on this Seminole basketball team? Is there a guy that you just can't keep out of the weight room?
Oh, we got 20 of them. We got a training mindset on our team. They love to train. If I could show you some photos or videos of us on the road or in the NCAA tournament in the bubble and figuring out ways to train, we got a really neat group of guys.
You lift weights and everybody wants to be in the weight room first?
Yes.
That's because you're such a nice guy, Mike. They just want to come visit you, huh?
It is, and I'm a great cook, and I bring food in.
Food is always important to student athletes. Mike Bradley, strength and conditioning coach, Florida State. How about a round of applause here at Glory Days? Thank you very much, Mike. Let me know the next time you're diving off that board, and I want to see video of it, okay? Down at Wakulla Springs. Here's Chris giving me the notes. With zero sugar, and now even more delicious is the new Coca-Cola Zero Sugar, the best Coke ever. Find out for yourself. I think it might be. Keep it right here on the Seminole Sports Network from Learfield. At Glory Days on a Monday night, a little cool outside. And winter weather here, you would expect in late January. Florida State basketball is the subject on Inside-Seminole-Basketball with head coach Leonard Hamilton. And, Coach, before we talk about that huge win over Miami, we just had Mike Bradley on, and Mike has been with you. Speaking of Miami, Mike joined your staff at the University of Miami for 4 years and then came up with you to Tallahassee, Florida as the strength and conditioning coach of Florida State University. You and Mike go back a long, long way.
Well, we've been together now, looks like it's over 20 years. I can guarantee you that. When I was looking for a weight training conditioning coach, I looked all over the country because Mike is a specialist in what you call high-intensity weight training conditioning. Weightlifting differs from sport to sport, and he specializes in the type of system that I feel that fits what basketball players need to be doing. You know, you have football players lift a certain system, baseball players and swimmers, but Mike really he really does a great job with basketball players, and he has prevented a lot of injuries. He has the ability to communicate with our players. They love going in. He makes it fun for them because no one likes to go into the weight room and work as hard as they have to work, but they enjoy working with Mike Bradley.
Well, that's what I asked. But the last question I asked Michael was, who's the first player that wants to get in that weight room first? He said, all 20, Coach. Now you said, I may have to ask Mike a little bit more about that. But anyway, Mike Bradley, strength and conditioning coach, has been with Coach Ham for over 20 years, and he is at work right now. He's probably going back to the. He said he also is a good cook, and he brings some food to the weight room. Is that important, Coach?
Well, there's no doubt that he specializes in all different types of foods that he loves to cook, and he allows us to sample a little bit of them once in a while. But see, I'm the kind of guy, I don't like samples. You know what I mean? I like to eat when I sit out. So sometimes he brings me a little not as much as I like to have. I don't want to tell him that. So the next time you tell him when he brings me one of his dishes,
some more.
yeah, bring me an extra helping.
Well, I'll guarantee you this, Coach, at Glory Days, you don't get a little bit, you get a bunch, okay? That's a good plug for Glory Days, where we are Monday nights talking Florida State basketball. Coach, the Miami win. We go down to Miami. It was like a tale of two halves. I mean, we just can't miss in the first half. We lead by 24 points at halftime, and then in the second half, Miami can't miss. We turned the ball over. It became a one-point ball game, and they had a chance to win. How big was that victory over Miami?
Well, it was very important because we ran out of gas, I think, the second half. Mm-hmm. You know, you could tell that we were a little leg weary. Mm-hmm. A lot of our mistakes were fatigue mistakes. I didn't think we had the same level of energy that we had the first half. And Miami revved it up a little bit. The game meant an awful lot to them. And it got very interesting there toward the end. And we just hung on for a victory. And I think you saw the best of how we could play. And you also saw the issues that challenge us from a execution standpoint that we got to get a little better at. They start pressing us. They start scrambling, trapping a little bit. Making the game difficult for us, you know, to execute in the half court. And we balled into it, sped ourselves up, tried to play a little faster than what we should, turned the ball over and made the game a little too interesting for me.
Yeah, 61-60 final score. It was the 9th consecutive win for Florida State over Miami, and that's the longest streak of victories in this series that dates back to 1950. Congratulations on a huge win over Miami. Let's dissect it a little further, Coach. We had 2 turnovers in the first half. We had 15 in the second half. Did they change their defensive scheme, put more pressure? They forced a huge number of turnovers.
There's no doubt that they did change their defense schemes. They did a great job of trapping us a little bit in the half court, and I thought we got out of rhythm, became very cautious with the ball. We were attacking in the first half, and we became very tentative as a result of us having that big lead, trying to protect the league as opposed to still playing aggressive. But that was a great learning experience for us. I'm glad we won the game. We were able to point out some of the misgivings that we had during the game, and hopefully the next time we get in one of those situations that we'll do a lot better. I would love to come in at halftime always, but 24 points ahead. That make life a little easier for us.
That's a whole lot. But so I think what you're saying is that in the first half we were playing to win. The second half we were playing not to lose. Would that be close to correct?
I think that's what some of our players said in our team meeting today. They thought they became a little too cautious. But that's part of the growing up process. That's part of the development. It's not all physical. That's part of the mentality that you got to grow in, the maturing that goes on with playing games with a bunch of inexperienced guys, first-year guys. But hopefully the most important thing is we got the W. We came home, gave them a Sunday off, and we had a very light practice today. 13-5,
6-2 in the Atlantic Coast Conference, number 1 in the standings in the ACC. Simply IOA is giving you the chance to win Seminoles courtside seats. Prizes include courtside seats for you and 3 friends to an FSU home basketball game versus an ACC opponent in February. That's just around the corner. Enter at simplyioa.com/Knowles. Coach, before we go to break, Malik Osborne played in that ballgame. He did not play against the University of North Florida, and he's nursing a gimpy ankle, a hurt ankle. I didn't realize how bad that ankle was until I saw him walking from the bus to the team charter plane to fly over Miami. And he got it out. He had 8 big rebounds in that ballgame, and was a big reason why we beat Miami. How's he doing?
Well, obviously, anytime you turn an ankle, he's not doing any additional damage to it. It's just one of those things that you have to go through. We try to rest him as much as possible. I've had several players, over the years that could play in games, but you didn't want to fatigue them with a lot of practices. And he's been very instrumental to our team, gives us a tremendous leadership on and off the court, and he's doing a real good job. He's just not as mobile as he has been in the past.
Yeah, Malik Osborne, 8 big rebounds, 4 of them offensive rebounds, and FSU's win over Miami, 61-60. We'll talk more about FSU's win over our arch rival in the ACC. But first, hey, Seminole fans, the Florida Department of Highway Safety and Motor Vehicles remind you to stay in the game and play by the rules. Texting and driving is against the law. One text takes your eyes off the road for about 5 seconds, and that's like driving around a basketball arena with your eyes closed 2 times. To win while driving, you must focus, put it down, and focus on driving to arrive alive. Be safe out there. Don't text and drive. Keep it right here on the Seminole Sports Network from Learfield. Here we are talking Florida State basketball with Leonard Hamilton on a Monday night. Don't be a stranger if you'd like to get back glory days and spend some time face-to-face with a head coach. Come on down. We're here from 7 o'clock till 8 o'clock every Monday talking Florida State basketball. And for those of you watching at ABC 27, hope you're enjoying the show. We've got some more highlights to show and a lot of conversation about FSU hoops. And those listening on the Learfield Seminole Radio Network, welcome back to our show this Monday. We talked just a little bit about the wins over the three teams we beat in a 5-day period. Duke in overtime by 2, Miami by 1 on Saturday, and wrapped around a 13-point win over North Florida. But Coach, back to that Miami game, and it's something I wanted to get in before we went to break, but Anthony Polite, we watched Anthony had a huge first half and got us off to a great start. He had 15 points in the ball game. And after the game, I asked him, I said, you never lost to Miami in your career. He said, nope, never lost to Miami. He's 8-0 against the Miami Hurricanes, 8-0 against Miami. Anthony Polite. And I saw his dad, Michael Polite, who played at Florida State 1988, 89, 90s, 91, that area. Played 3 years for us. Michael was at the ball game. I saw him after the game, and he was so proud of what his son and the Seminoles had done. I'll bet you Michael Polite didn't beat Miami 8 times. I'll bet you his dad did not. Well, we didn't play Miami a lot back in the day, you know.
Well, Miami has really improved, and a lot of the games could have gone either way. It's been a very hard-fought series. You know, and even when I was at the University of Miami, I always thought that the series, the rivalry with North Florida State and Miami was a good, clean, wholesome rivalry that really was inspiring, void of a lot of issues, but extremely competitive. And I think our games have been the same way.
Boy, they certainly have. And Florida State now with, 9 straight wins over Miami, we sort of extended the string of victories over the Hurricanes. And, again, it's a tremendous rivalry. Coach, it doesn't matter if it's baseball, football, basketball, tiddlywinks, volleyball. Oh, speaking of swim, our swim team beat Miami last weekend. How about that? And they were at the basketball game cheering on the Seminoles. Did you hear them cheering behind you, Coach? Huh?
No, I missed that. When the game starts, I kind of tune everything else out.
That's true, and they made a lot of noise. They had just beat Miami, and they had another swim meet coming up this weekend. So they stayed in town, and they came to the Watsco Center to cheer on their favorite basketball team. That's the Florida State Seminoles. We've played 3 games in 5 days. We got the 4th game in 8 days coming up. And while we have a moment, Coach, let's talk about the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets. They stubbed their toe early. You look at their record, you say, wow, they're in the bottom tier of the Atlantic Coast Conference. But this team looks, they got the second leading scorer in the league. I think he's second leading scorer in the league, DeVoe. And they got a kid named Usher that sort of took us out to the shed in the ACC championship. We owe them one. They beat us for the ACC championship last year.
There's no doubt that any team you play in the ACC, especially on the road, will be extremely challenging to you. And I think I've always said 70% of most of all the games in the ACC are decided by 4 points or less. And so you have to be ready. You can't worry about where a team is ranked in the league, in the standings, because if you don't go in mentally, emotionally, and physically ready, you know, somebody can put a hat on your head to show you what a door is. That's the way it is in the ACC. This is an important victory for us. Obviously, even though we are sitting in a pretty good position, we have 12 more games to go, and we need to really, really have a finish very strong.
Yeah, and winning games on the road, if you could steal a 1 or 2 on the road, you're going to stay above 500 in the league. That's always been the story in the ACC. You got to steal 1 or 2 on the road, and we've had good road success. We beat North Carolina State on the road. We beat Miami on the road. We have had some success on the road this season against ACC foes.
Well, unfortunately, fortunately, you have to just stay focused on what the task you have at hand. And we understand that this is an important game for us. Now that we are number 1 in the league, it's an important game for Georgia Tech. We just can't let it be more important to Georgia Tech than it is to us.
Farm Bureau Insurance is giving you and 3 friends the chance to win courtside seats when the Noles take on NC State March the 5th. Prize includes courtside seats, a one-night hotel stay, and Noles gear. Enter at NolesContest.com today. Farm Bureau Insurance giving you and 3 friends the chance to win courtside seats when the Noles take on North Carolina State. Keep it right here on the Seminole Sports Network from Learfield. Great days talking on a Monday night with head coach Leonard Hamilton inside Seminole Basketball. Don't miss the show on ABC 27 on the Seminole Radio Network. Seminole Athletics would like to thank VyStar Credit Union for their support of FSU Hoops. VyStar, do good, bank better. And, Coach, before we go, FSU, Georgia Tech Wednesday, and then we play Virginia. It's a week of the Texters, huh? Georgia Tech and Virginia Tech on Saturday at 3 o'clock.
Well, there's no doubt that we need our fans to be in the stand helping us this weekend. But right now, we got to concentrate totally on Georgia Tech.
Georgia Tech to Wednesday night at 9 o'clock. Coach, before we go, it's Coaches versus Cancer Week. You'll have the sneakers on. You have them almost all the time. It's awareness for the fight against cancer.
No doubt about that. And it's a worthy cause, and raising money for research is outstanding. Hopefully, we'll end up defeating this dreaded disease.
Let's beat cancer and beat Georgia Tech all at the same time. Thank you very much for joining us on this edition of Inside Seminole Basketball with head coach Leonard Hamilton. For Chris Culp, our producer, and Dave Pulaski in our studio, I'm Gene Deckeroff saying good night and go Noles.